gentlemen, welcome back to Pack Daddy NFL. We've got another 7-round mock draft, and this time, if you couldn't tell by the title, it is the Cleveland Browns. I'm very excited to get this one done. They have a lot of picks. There's a lot of potential for this team, a lot of high-round picks, a lot of everything picks. This time it was brought to me by Ethan. Ethan is not in the Facebook group. He doesn't have Facebook, so he got to me through email. If you're somebody that does not have Facebook, but you're a YouTube guy and you want to get involved, just go ahead and shoot me an email. We can go about it that way, and we'll find other ways to get other people involved. I'm talking to people in the Facebook group as well as Ethan and some other people. Other different things we can do, not just the Facebook group, not just mock drafts, but other kinds of platforms and ways to get people involved, because this is really about community. It's not, again, I mentioned this in one of my earlier videos, but this isn't me sitting here saying I'm the expert, I know everything. It's meant to be interactive. You guys provide a lot of the content. I throw out my opinion. You call me stupid. I tell you to be quiet because I have the microphone. It's just kind of how this works. But it's your expertise as well as mine and everybody else's. This is our group, our channel. So anyways, if you have ideas, comments. If you want to get in the Facebook group, check the comments. It's in there. You want to email me, it's in the comments. But please try to get involved in some way possible, because we're having a lot of fun. We're trying to grow it. We're trying to get some ideas and get some help and all that kind of stuff. So anyways, Cleveland Browns, 7-round mock draft. Ethan is the GM of the Cleveland Browns. Let's kick this thing off. With the first overall pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, your Cleveland Browns select Sam Darnold, quarterback, USC. Let's see what the GM had to say. Cleveland needs a franchise quarterback to get Cleveland over the hump and out of the very bottom of the league. Darnold has the size, athleticism, arm strength, accuracy, and IQ that every team wants in a franchise quarterback, and will be able to come in and potentially start right away. So I don't hate this, and it almost makes sense because, Sam Darnold kind of walked back his comments about not wanting to go to Cleveland. He made the comment that, I'd be willing to go to any franchise. He is a very talented guy. Josh Rosen, you got to kind of wonder, just in terms of do you want a guy that basically flat out said, I don't want to be with the Browns? And I know there's the talk about Josh Allen, but I don't think that's necessarily true. I think primarily the goal of that was to make sure that Josh Allen and Sam Darnold come into the draft. Now that they're in, we start to evaluate things. And I think there's a good argument to be made that Sam Darnold is the best option, not just based on talent, but on the fact that Josh Rosen doesn't want to be there. And it's hard to get the franchise quarterback, the leader of your franchise, the leader of your team, to be a guy that flat out said, I don't want to go there, they're terrible. And how do you get your players to play for Josh Rosen when Josh Rosen says they're garbage, I don't want to be there? How do you get fans to rally him around a guy that said, I don't want to play for your organization? I just find that problematic. I think Sam Darnold is a good pick at pick number 1. With the 4th overall pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the Cleveland Browns select Saquon Barkley, running back, Penn State. Here's the GM's note. Saquon Barkley is a game-changing back that can carry the lead of an offense comparative to the way Adrian Peterson did in the past. The trio of Darnold, Barkley, and Josh Rosen can lead the Browns to future success and a Super Bowl in the near future. I mean, that's got to get you excited. There's some great trios, and I'm not saying this is comparable to the 3 Bs over there in Pittsburgh, but that's pretty crazy. I mean, Darnold, we don't really know. But he's got a lot of talent. Josh Gordon is an absolute freak. We all know that Josh Gordon is a freak, assuming he can stay clean and all that stuff. And Saquon Barkley there's very few people that are thinking that he's no good. They've got a decent offensive line. They've got the #1 run defense. They've got a lot of picks coming up to help figure out the secondary part of it. But, I mean, right away, we're looking at a team that has an offense that's pretty scary. And that doesn't even take into account their Duke Johnson. Completely blanked on his name, but Duke Johnson is a really talented guy, and maybe you don't want to put him in very much if Saquon Barkley's there because he's an do-everything back, but Duke Johnson's still a talented guy that you can find a way to get mixed in. Very talented, very scary football player. This is a decent team already, 2 picks in. We're 4 picks into this draft, and you're already looking at the Browns going, oh boy, that's a pretty scary team right there. With the 33rd pick in the 2nd round of the 2018 NFL Draft, the Cleveland Browns select Joshua Jackson, cornerback out of Iowa. Before I get to the notes, I know it's a little bit of a stretch. He did offer me an alternative. He said, maybe this guy's not around. Here's an alternative. I decided to stick with it, though. I think it's a little too early to be that nitpicky about it. I mean, to say he's probably going to be a first round guy, late first round. He's not going to be early second. I think that's way too nitpicky in January to be saying he's not going to be around. It's not considered to be a super deep cornerback class. How many teams actually want cornerback? You figure if the best value for a cornerback in this entire draft is, let's say, like 15, how many teams are top teams looking for a cornerback? And then you got Denzel Ward and Tavares McFadden and all the. It's just way too early to be that nitpicky. I'm fine with Josh Jackson at pick 33, basically the first pick in the second round. Anyways, here are his notes. The Browns need a true shutdown corner to match up with the great receivers they play against, such as Antonio Brown and A.J. Green. Josh Jackson has good enough size and athleticism to match up with anyone. He's a playmaker, which a team like Cleveland can always use more of. I absolutely love the pick. He is big, he is physical, he is fast. He's considered by some to be the best corner in this draft, even though it's not deep. We're talking about second round. You've got the offense has already come around quite a bit, and now you've got the defense. Your top priority here is getting a cornerback, and he goes out and gets one that's big and fast and physical, as he mentioned, that can match up, maybe not perfectly. I don't expect him to lock down Antonio Brown, but just that little bit of an edge. We're not talking about Super Bowl necessarily in this very first year back. We're just trying to win some games, and I'm telling you right now, already this team is winning football games. Josh Jackson is going to at least slow down some of the onslaught and some of the horrific defensive play that the Browns have put forward in terms of pass defense. So we're making some major improvements here. With the 35th pick in the second round, I can't believe how many picks they have, of the 2018 NFL Draft, the Cleveland Browns select Chukwuma Okorafor, offensive tackle from Western Michigan. It would not be a mock draft video without me having to say that guy's name. Here are the notes. After drafting two important skill positions, these players are going to need blocking, and with Joe Thomas only getting older and coming off an injury, and the right offensive tackle spot still not the greatest, this pick helps the Browns out greatly. Okorafor is a good athlete for his position and also has good size. He's still raw to the game after growing up playing soccer in Nigeria, but has decent technique and will only improve with good coaching. He should come in and be able to start at right offensive tackle right away and move to left tackle whenever Joe Thomas decides to hang up the cleats. So, another core piece for this team. I mean, we're building. It feels very methodically, right? We need some offensive firepower. We go and get maybe the best quarterback to come out in. Well, I shouldn't say that with Wentz and everybody else coming out very recently, but potentially the best quarterback in this draft, somebody that people have been high on for a very long time, and then you get one of the better running backs to come out. I don't even know when the last comparable running back would be. And I don't want to say, because the last time there was this much hype, he didn't turn out very good. Trent Richardson and then, Reggie Bush before that. But still, you have to like that a lot. You got a new quarterback, you give him a weapon, then you protect him, and we're also working on the secondary, and we barely started the second round. Insane. Next up, with the 63rd pick in the second round of the 2018 NFL Draft, the Cleveland Browns select Anthony Miller, wide receiver, Memphis. So here's the notes. The Browns receivers need help, but with a good signing, maybe Terrell Pryor, and this pick of Anthony Miller, the receiver problem should be solved. Miller gives the Browns a dynamic wide receiver who can make plays alongside Josh Gordon. I mean, this is what's so insane about this and what made me so angry about last year's draft. The potential that the Browns have is so incredible. To just have an amazing draft and to turn this franchise around, and I feel like they squandered it last year, and I was so sick of hearing everybody talk about how great the draft was. Yeah, if you look at it without taking into account how many picks and just say, hey, look at all these players that are just a pile of, fine. But you look at per pick, just garbage. I love this draft. I love this draft, absolutely, because at the end of the second round, the talent is still plentiful. And now he's talking about picking up a guy like Terrell Pryor and Josh Gordon and Anthony Miller. Those are your three new wide receivers for your brand spanking new super talented quarterback. And then you have the most elite running back to come out in a very long time behind an already talented offensive line that just got a new right tackle. And now your defense, which is already number one in the NFL, now has a brand spanking new shiny cornerback who maybe is the best in the entire draft class. How could you not be excited about? I mean, if this team isn't in the playoffs by 2020, hang it up. Game over. With the 65th pick in the third round of the 2018 NFL Draft, the Cleveland Browns select Quinn Blanding, safety from Virginia. Here's the notes. The Browns secondary needs help. The worst case scenario, Blanding gives the Browns depth. He had an excellent college career and figures to test well at the combine. So again, beginning of the third round, still plenty of talent available. Quinn Blanding is a solid safety. We've beginning of the third, and on top of all the offensive stuff we've done, we've added now 2 additional defensive backs to help us shore up that pass defense. You know, with a new GM, we've got some new staff in the building, and now we have some new elite players, a new attitude for this team, a new excitement level for this team. I don't know. I like it. I like it a lot. Moving on, with the 97th pick in the 4th round of the 2018 NFL Draft, the Cleveland Browns select Matthew Thomas, linebacker, Florida State. Here's the notes. Matthew Thomas has great size and athleticism for the position and has superstar traits. With proper coaching, there's a chance he could develop into his potential, but his awareness, play recognition, and overall technique must improve. A boomer bust pick. So now we're getting into 4th round or later. You're not going to get perfect prospects, absolutely. So he lays out perfectly what it is. This guy has superior upside, but he also has some red flags and things that need to be worked on. But we can work on those things. Again, let's not forget, as much as we can absolutely upgrade the linebackers, because when I'm looking at Pro Football Focus, I'm saying you guys have horrible linebackers. They have the #1 run defense in the NFL. So if I can't reconcile it in my mind, because you look at the way they grade and apparently they don't play well, but it all comes together somehow. Fine. Give me some terrible running or inside linebackers. I'd love to have some because it seems to work out quite well. Regardless of all that, what they have already works, but we're adding new pieces that absolutely could start tomorrow. They could just start, because the guys that are in there, you could upgrade them rather easily. In the 4th round with the 97th pick, Matthew Thomas has a great opportunity to start for this team and start for a team that has more excitement, more buzz, and it's so weird to say, but maybe more talent than most teams in the NFL. With the 124th pick in the 4th round of the 2018 NFL Draft, the Cleveland Browns select Tyrone Crowder, offensive guard, Clemson. Here's the notes. A young quarterback can get his confidence messed up if he gets beaten up too much, absolutely. The Browns' offensive line should be somewhat respectable next year with Joe Thomas returning, and the pick of Okorafor, hold on. Okay, so with Joe Thomas and Okorafor, but more depth can never hurt. If anything happens to Cleveland's interior line, I would expect Crowder, who was an excellent player in college, winning first-team All-ACC the last 2 years, to be able to come in and immediately be ready to step up to the challenge. So this team is well-rounded enough to the point where, I mean, we are drafting best player available is a primary thing. This is a talented football player, but we're drafting for depth. We're to that point now. We're kind of like, all right, we're looking good. Where can we kind of shore up our depth a little bit? That is the Cleveland Browns. That is the potential they have in this draft. I'm really hopeful that they can do something awesome. Moving on. With the 129th pick, if you weren't paying attention, just 5 picks later, in the 5th round, the Cleveland Browns select Holton Hill, cornerback, Texas. Hill is a great example of a boomer bust pick. He has great size, instincts, physicality, and decent athleticism. The main problem with this guy will be keeping him out of trouble off the field and getting him to work in practice. But if you can get those things to happen, he's a potential star. So again, when we're going with our GM here has a very distinct strategy, and that is he's not really worried so much about, if I'm not mistaken anyways, we're looking for high upside players. Holton Hill has some issues maybe off the field or kind of with his work ethic and things of that nature, but in terms of his potential upside, there's a lot to work with here. And again, when you talk to a guy like Hill, you tell him about this team and how we're building something special here. There's a lot of people on this team that are going to be gone. You have a serious, some serious potential. Even as a 5th round guy, as a guy who hasn't been getting a lot of respect, you can come in and you can start for this team and you can help turn this team around. You have unbelievable potential on this team. You can write your own ticket, but I need you to put in the work. So I like the pick. It makes a lot of sense. There's plenty of potential for a guy like Holton Hill, especially with the amount of talent he has. Just get in his ear. You are one of the most athletic and talented guys in this entire draft on this team right now. Go win a spot. Next up, with the 152nd pick in the 5th round of the 2018 NFL Draft, the Cleveland Browns select Marcus BAUGH, tight end, Ohio State. A relatively safe pick here. BAUGH is an excellent blocker with good size and sneaky athleticism. Can come in and compete for the number 2 tight end spot from Seth DeValve, whom he is taller than, and will have a comparable 40 time too. He'll be used when Cleveland is pounding the rock with Barkley. So I don't think having a blocking tight end is the worst thing. I know it's all the rage in the NFL to get these kind of long, lanky, wide receiver-y type guys. It's kind of an evolving thing. You know, when that first happened, you look at it and you go, it's just not really working. And now it's kind of becoming prevalent, and these guys are really stepping up. But as I'm looking at the Browns as it stands, they've got a lot of weapons. Assuming he can get that free agent wide receiver, and you've got Gordon, and you've got Barkley, and you've got, you know, your other guy that you drafted. Having the ability to block for your quarterback, which is supremely important, and block for this freakish running back you have plenty of wide receiver weapons. Again, nothing wrong with a primary blocker as a tight end. And a guy that's primarily a blocker is going to fall down the draft, so he could be very good at that. And then, you know, you can still catch, right? He's block, and oh, you thought I was going to block? I'm going to sneak out the backside in the red zone and get a touchdown. First time I touched the ball all day. Just saying, never saw that coming because I never touched the football. I may be embellishing a little bit how much of a blocker he is primarily, but I'm just saying most teams are looking for more receiver types. I think the Browns are okay looking at a guy that is a better blocker than he is a receiver. With the 161st pick in the 6th round of the 2018 NFL Draft, the Cleveland Browns select Robert Foster, wide receiver, Alabama. So before I get to his note, another thing I've learned about this GM, they are absolutely going to make sure that this quarterback succeeds, and that makes sense. As he mentioned, and I've said the exact same thing before, getting the confidence right out of the gate, I think, is supremely important. If you get a quarterback like some teams do, you get him, you throw him behind a garbage offensive line, you don't have any wide receivers on your team, and you expect him to perform, and he can't. And he goes from being this college superstar to coming into the NFL and being told he's a bust and he's a loser. It's going to trash your confidence. So the Cleveland Browns and Ethan, our GM here, said, you know what, we're not going to let that happen. We're going to get a brand new running back. We're going to get offensive linemen. We're going to get a bunch of wide receivers. We're going to get a tight end, you know, the safety valve and an extra blocker. We're going to do everything possible we can to ensure that Sam Darnold has a great year, that he is upright, that he gets his completions. We're going to get high percentage stuff. We're going to give him deep stuff. We're going to give him every single thing, whatever he can do, whatever it is that he's able to do successfully. We're going to make sure that we have a package and a receiver and a blocker and whatever else we need to make it work. He's absolutely prioritizing making sure that this quarterback is a success in the NFL. Now on to the note about Robert Foster, Alabama. The Alabama prospect has decent size and figures to test well and will be able to compete for one of the last wide receiver spots on the roster. His ceiling is higher than other players currently on the roster, such as Ricardo Lewis and Rashard Higgins. I love Rashard Higgins, but he needs to fight for his spot. LOL. So there you go. We're rounding it out, and we're potentially just pushing out the guys we have, right? We have Josh Gordon. He's very good, also high risk. We've got a bunch of other guys that are just kind of meh, whatever. We'll see what happens. But we're going to bring in a bunch of competition. We're going to see who wants this job and who doesn't. You're going to fight for it. But again, we're going to make sure, regardless of who ends up being the wide receiver, who ends up winning this job, we're going to make darn sure that our quarterback has some elite weapons to throw to. You guys are going to be on point 24/7 because you are not going to mess this up for our quarterback. He will be our quarterback of the future. We got 10 years of this guy, guaranteed, and we're going to make sure it works. We're going to do everything we can. Last pick of the draft for the Cleveland Browns with the 193rd pick in the 7th round of the 2018 NFL Draft. The Cleveland Browns select Bruce Hector, defensive tackle, South Florida. Hector has potential as an interior pass rusher and is a quality pick for the 7th round. Should be able to earn a roster spot and potentially get some early playing time. It's a good pick. You know, defensive tackle is something that you can find in the later rounds. So it's a high upside guy that can kind of sit on the bench and learn from the guys that are already doing it. And you also need a lot of bodies because they get tired out. So you want rotational guys for defensive tackle that can come in, even as a later round guy, getting a guy that's sort of one dimensional kind of works, right? The guys that you have out there, number one run defense, are getting a little bit tired. Fine, it's third and short. He's a big fat dude who's real strong. He's not very athletic. He's not very smart. But you tell him, hey, go out there and just don't move. Just don't let him push you. That's your job. Fine. That's what we're going to do with Bruce Hector for now. And again, potential to earn a roster spot down the line. We're talking 7th round. Overall, though, this draft, and I want to hear in the comment section what you think. You got to be excited. I mean, it's almost too hard to mess up, but I said that last year, and I'm looking at the overall draft that they did, and I'm thinking that was a nightmare. This draft I absolutely love. I think Ethan knocked this out of the park. If you're a Browns fan and you don't like this, I mean, I'm sure you can nitpick it. I know some people say, you should go defensive back in the first round. You should have got Minkah Fitzpatrick, blah, 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 whatever. I don't think you're going to regret having Saquon Barkley. How much of a fit can you really throw about that? I thought it was great. Let me know in the comment section. As always, be sure to check in the comment section because in the comment section we have the Facebook group. Be sure to get in the Facebook group. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. If you'd like to donate, please be sure to donate. Also, we got a new partner that we're working with. It is Chris Landry over at Landry Football. You can see that link also in the description. Chris Landry is an NFL scout currently. He works at home right now, but he works for NFL organizations as sort of a third-party consultant. So that is what he's doing. He's got the inside scoop. Check out LandryFootball.com. He will give you all the insider information. There is some free content, some premium content, so go check it out, see what you think. But if you're very serious about doing this, if you really want to know, if you're really just a die-hard draft guy and you want to know the inside scoop, you gotta put down the money for the extra premium subscription. You will not regret it. He's given some amazing insights. He really knows his stuff. He has some awesome contacts in the business. This is the kind of stuff you need to know. Check out LandryFootball.com. Otherwise, guys, have a good day. We got football coming up today. I will talk to you very, very soon. Bye-bye.